Hello, this is Alex from cables.gl, and I'd like to show you gate operators. And gate operators are a group of operators that allow you to pass through certain types of data. And I'm talking about values like numbers or objects or triggers or arrays. And I think there's one more, strings. So what it allows you to do is to interact with your project and only affect certain um, operations in your project only when you have some sort of user interaction, for example, or is something is true, and then it then opens up the gate for you to modify your animations or some sort of states in your project. And I think it's a cool operator to kind of get into making interactive projects in cables. And I definitely want to show you some more complicated operators, but this one I think is a good one to try. So what I have here is I have this hand, and I am using an orbit control, which is kind of, it's kind of maybe internally doing something like a gate. So whenever I'm moving the mouse on the screen, nothing is happening. But when I click and I move my mouse left and right and up and down, this operator will change the position of the camera. So it's kind of doing this gating of values internally, I think. So another thing I want to show you is I set up for the right mouse button when I'm pressing it down and moving my cursor around, I'm now affecting the position of the light. And this will change the lighting in my scene, and the shadow will move around. So this is the type of stuff I think is kind of cool and is easily done with these operators. Another thing, just so we can quickly see what kind of things you can experiment with is maybe making like drawing apps, right? So I have this sphere on the center of my screen, but only when I click it will the sphere move around, and then I can play around with other things that the mouse operator allows me to. So I can use a mouse wheel to change the size and whatever. But once I stop pressing the mouse button, the sphere stops moving, right? So you can see how this could be like a base for some sort of drawing application or some sort of interactive project that you are able to make. So let's look at these operators. And this is the group, right? So the things I mentioned earlier. And we're going to start with gate trigger because I think it's actually quite handy to experiment with this one first. And then I'll show you gate string and gate number and gate array and gate object maybe, but they kind of function similarly, these four. And this one is a little bit more simple. So let's move these to the side, and what are we going to do? Let's look at the parameters. There aren't many. There is just this toggle that says pass through. And if you connect this to the main loop, and then maybe let's put down, I don't know, a rectangle. So we have this rectangle on the center of our screen, right? And by the way, if you see these animations on my cables, it's because I pressed F. See, I pressed it again, and then you cycle through the different visualizations of your patch, and it's very handy to see what this gate trigger will do once we turn off the pass through. So our rectangle is no longer visible on screen because it's not getting a trigger from our main loop. And we can also visually see that the cable is no longer having these little animating, moving bits in it. So that's basically it, right? So you can kind of imagine, okay, so that's kind of how the other ops will work, right? So whenever I, let's look at gate number. Whenever I click pass through, and let's put down maybe a viz graph, a nice visual operator that will allow you to see the values. So once the pass through is true, and if we mouse over here, we'll see that the pass through is true. Whatever we change this value in will change the viz graph, right? Because we're allowing this value to pass through. So if we hook up maybe like a sine anim and hook that up to the main loop, we see that this cable is animated and we're passing through the value from our sine animator, right? So if we toggle this off, that's it. But you see why I'm kind of visually and, you know, in this tutorial grouping these four separately is because unlike the gate trigger, which is a constant flow of triggers and then you just kind of stop it like a flow of water, right? Or like electricity or something, you just turn it off and then your rectangle is no longer showing. With these operators, it will just stop updating the value or the array or the object or the string. And then the last one you had coming out of this operator will be what your operators will be getting. So it's more of a like a pass through and then remember the last value type of operation with these ops. And we're going to look in the future with some other ways of maybe making a default. For example, if I'm passing things through and then I'm not, I want it to be 0 or something like that. And you can use these to hook that stuff up, but there's some way more specialized operators that we'll look at in the future. So no worries. But that's basically how this thing works. Once you stop this pass-through, for example, maybe with a mouse click, we'll do like a mouse, simple mouse operator, and it's going to be hooked up to button down, right? So once we click our button on our canvas, this gate number will open up and pass through the sine anim values. And once we let go of our mouse, the last one is the constant value that visgraph has. So what else can we do? And basically visstring is just like that, and so is gate array. So should I even show this to you? I guess I should. Let's just do gate string for fun and then cement that knowledge, and then please try it out and show me what you make with it, because it's pretty cool. Especially stuff like with the mouse where you're kind of manipulating an object's position, or maybe you're picking an object up and then placing it somewhere else. It's kind of nice, and you can make some cool like interactive art apps and projects with that. So let's do like a text mesh. Text mesh. And I'll just use this simple one with the simple font already, the Arial font hooked up, and then we'll gate string into the text mesh. And right now, this gate string has never been updated, right? So the out port is totally blank. There's nothing coming out here. So if we even do this viz string, you see I'm trying to like get you to use these viz ops. They're really nice. See, the viz string just says viz string because there's no updates that happen to this gate string. So even though it says hello, we never click pass through. So this output port never updated. So our text mesh is also invisible because there's no valid string coming in. And then maybe we'll hook up our mouse buttons op now. And it has a left mouse button hooked up to the gate, right? So once we click our left mouse button, it should update this text mesh with hello. There it is, hello. And this isn't the best practice, but I just want to show you because that's kind of how these things work is you can stack these into the same port. So for example, on this one, I'll just put in by, right? So, and I'll hook that up to the right mouse button and then plug it into here. So you see I still have my visualization on, and you see that these string cables, they're static. There's nothing flowing through them because I'm not updating these. And again, once you update this port, it will say whatever you set it to. So right now I have it by, but here it just says hello because maybe I accidentally triggered it. Or actually it's because I copy pasted this one, so the output port is already populated with hello. But text mesh is showing the last string that you gave to it, right? So we triggered hello with a gate string, and that's what text mesh has in its memory, kind of. And you kind of have to keep it in mind with these gate arrays and gate object as well. Usually they go into operators that once something has been given to them, like an array or a value or a string or an object, it will grab that and use that for its calculation of whatever that operator does. So this one is showing hello because that's the last one we sent to it. And then this one, once we trigger with the right mouse button, it will update this text mesh with this new string. So bye.